कर रहे हैं रिकॉर्ड बस तुम बोलियो ना Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we will discuss the chronic laryngotracheal stenosis. Chronic laryngotracheal stenosis is said to be established if the airway of the patient is unsatisfactory after 4 weeks of injury. Effects of chronic laryngeal stenosis. Laryngeal stenosis will interfere with speech, breathing, ability to clear secretions from the lower air respiratory tract. Sites of stenosis may be supraglottic, glottic, subglottic, tracheal, and sometimes multiple site stenosis. Etiology. Trauma is the commonest cause. It may be accidental trauma, as in road traffic accidents, strangulation, or it may be iatrogenic trauma, for example, in the form of tracheostomy. If first tracheal ring or cricoid cartilage is cut or damaged during the operation, the patient will develop subglottic stenosis or tracheal stenosis. Similarly, prolonged intubation, partial laryngectomy, especially supraglottic laryngectomy. Some systemic diseases may also lead to laryngeal stenosis. For example, vaginal granulomatosis, polychondritis, autoimmune thyroiditis. Then miscellaneous diseases, for example, scleroma, may also cause laryngeal stenosis. Clinical features. The symptoms in the patient may be speech problems. He may have breathing difficulty. He may have difficulty in clearing the secretions from the lower respiratory tract. So more chances of lower respiratory tract infection. So in such patients, the examiner must inquire about duration and history of trauma, tracheostomy, prolonged intubation, or any other contributing factor. Physical examination will include examination of the neck, ideal fiber optic laryngoscopy or flexible laryngoscopy under local anesthesia, and rigid direct laryngoscopy under general anesthesia. Investigations. For example, X-rays, soft tissue neck lateral view, CT scan of the head and neck for exact site of stenosis and extent of stenosis, and magnetic resonance imaging, that is MRI. Treatment. First, establish the airways first by intubation or tracheostomy. Then, counseling of the patient or attendant or both regarding warning regarding the failure of the treatment, warning regarding the normal voice, especially in case of chronic injury, nasogastric feeding in the post-operative period. Find out the cause and treat the cause. If systemic disease, occasional dilatations may work to treat the stenosis. Further management depends upon site of stenosis, for example, supraglottic, glottic, subglottic, or tracheal stenosis. Then it also depends upon extent of the stenosis and degree of stenosis. Supraglottic stenosis. Supraglottic laryngectomy has no place to treat the supraglottic stenosis because it is a cause of supraglottic stenosis. Second, laryngeal widening procedures, for example, laryngofissure followed by removal of the scar tissue as desired, and then the patient may be offered laser surgery to widen the laryngeal lumen. Glottic stenosis. If the patient is having anterior glottic web, then repeated endoscopic excision, laser excision, laryngofissure followed by excision of the web. After procedure, place mid-knot keel for at least 4 to 6 weeks to prevent adhesion formation. If the patient presents with posterior glottic web, in that case, the patient or the posterior glottic web will be difficult to be treated. Anyhow, excision of the adhesions and placement of the modified keel to prevent adhesion formation may help to the patient. Cricoid stenosis. This is also very difficult to be treated. Removal of the soft tissue scarring and stenting with Montgomery tube or T-tube after laryngofissure. Care of the T-tube is just like care of the tracheostomy tube. Subglottic stenosis. This is again a very difficult to treat. If posterior subglottic stenosis, then tracheoplasty is performed. If circumferential stenosis, then tracheoplasty by using costal cartilage fifth or sixth with pericardium is performed. Tracheal stenosis. It may need repeated dilatations. Then excision of the stenosed part of the trachea. Trachea is pulled up and the larynx is dropped down, and then end-to-end anastomosis is performed. Only 4 to 5 centimeters of the trachea can be excised in this case if the trachea is stenosed. But on the other hand, if the stenosis of the trachea is more than 5 centimeters in length, then the tracheal fragment is removed. Then the Barclay's procedure is performed. In Barclay's procedure, the right main bronchus is removed from its normal site and anastomosed with left main bronchus in its distal part. In this way, several centimeters are available for resection of the trachea. This is the trachea with tracheal stenosis. This is the right main bronchus and this is the left main bronchus. In what we do in Barclay's procedure, this stenosed part, if it is more than 5 centimeter, is excised. Then end-to-end anastomosis will be difficult one because the stenosed removed part is more than 5 centimeter. Now in Barclay procedure, what we do, we remove the right main bronchus here, from here, and it is anastomosed to the distal part of the left main bronchus. In this way, the tracheal length is achieved, which will help to anastomose end-to-end anastomosis of the trachea. This is the Barclay's procedure. Thank you very much.